In these posters, we see the German military touting the virtues of joining the German Air Force. The German Air Force got top picks in selecting and poaching the best recruits from the other branches, exceeding priority of the candidates joining either the U-boat fleet or panzer crews. From D-Day on, the happy times of the German Air Force was over. They were outnumbered 6.5 to 1, pilot training hours were cut in half, bombers were now well protected by escorts, the bombing campaign was taking its toll on transportation, industry, and oil, and they were facing superior Allied fighters. The intent of this video is to review the results of a German Air Force POW study which assessed what motivated the German pilots to fight. The first priority is morale as a war weapon, from a 1944 Special Services document on factors which influence the soldiers' morale. Napoleon rated troop morale as 3 times as important as material, General Marshall at 5 to 1. The Germans understood the Reich's war machine ran on morale, as discussed on this page from a 1945 document on enemy actions directed against civilians in World War II. By reducing the morale of their adversaries, this would lead to enemies losing their will to fight and ultimate destruction. A person with low morale will exhibit these characteristics: lack of unity and confidence, lack of the true state of the news, a satisfaction of their own achievement without regard to the big picture, and blindly following state propaganda. The state of the German Air Force was addressed in this channel's video. The German Air Force hardships from D-Day and on included: outnumbered by opponent at a ratio of 6.5 to 1. Base hardships: no dancing, no passes, no visitors. Pilot attrition, loss of experienced pilots. Less effective in shooting down bombers by an order of magnitude. The pilot training pipeline was insufficient to matching plane production. Fly till you die tour duty policy. Lack of aviation fuel, no training fuel, limited sorties. By April 1945, the Air Force was on the verge of collapse. I found this narration interesting. There seems to exist bad blood between German pilots and the German public, as defined on this page from a May 1945 Air Intelligence Weekly Summary document. A German POW indicated that the German Air Force is not meeting its wartime obligations like the German infantry. The German public is in consensus that the German Air Force pilots are not doing enough to stop Allied bombers. German pilots are required to wear armbands and carry their paybook whenever they fly over Reich-occupied territories. These items will identify themselves as part of the German Air Force if they are shot down. The POW pointed out in reality, this is to keep fellow German citizens from beating the airmen who would claim they were taking revenge on an Allied flyer. The armband was yellow with a black eagle and German Air Force text below. The POW who relayed this story had his armband taken as bounty by an American soldier souvenir hunter. This image shows the yellow armband and a German Air Force paybook. This armband was sold at auction in 2021 for $1,200. Reproduction armbands sell for $13. The premise that the German Air Force is not living up to their expectations is confirmed on this page from a 1946 post-war German High Command interrogation document. The Allied bombing campaign dramatically reduced the morale of the German army. Allied fighters and bombers attacked targets without encountering any major air opposition. The German Air Force was condemned for not stopping these bomber attacks. It did not have the fighting force to engage Allied formations. There were too few fighters, pilots, and fuel. Shortages of ammunition required flat guns to conserve their ammo, rendering them ineffective. So we can add to the list of hardships lost trust with German public and OKW. This page from a September 1944 Air Intelligence Weekly Summary document outlines the results of German Air Force POW interviews regarding their motivations to fight since D-Day. The results are based on 31 pilot interrogations. Overall, morale is considered good with no reduction since D-Day. They are well aware they are outnumbered, but will engage in combat nonetheless. They do not have a defeatist mentality. Factors that motivate them include their off-mission lives are more comfortable, do not experience frontline intense ground combat. They are younger, consider flying as an exciting sport, and just don't think about why they are fighting. They think their skill level is on parity with Allied pilots. Axis planes have less powerful engines but can outmaneuver the Allied planes. They are placing their hopes on new jet aircraft to turn the tide. Newer pilots entering the ranks have less experience than in earlier years. Jet and rocket-powered Miracle weapons did enter service in summer of 1944, but never delivered on expectations. Jet and rocket-powered planes shot down a total of 10 8th Air Force fighters and 52 bombers in their 11 months of operational service, as shown on this table from a 1945 8th Air Force operations document. At peak production rates, the U.S. was producing around 24 B-24s and 16 B-17s per day. Me-262s and Me-163s shot down 1 1/3 days worth of bomber production. Me-262s and Me-163s had an insignificant effect on Germany's war effort. German propaganda kept personnel in an international news blackout. The pilots felt victory is assured and a sense of German invincibility. We shall win because we must. Only after capture and exposure did the true state of the war appear, and they realized the futility of a victory. The morale of most German Air Force ground personnel is non-existent, except for the seasoned elite German parachute troops. However, they are dismayed by being sent into battle as ordinary ground troops. The German High Command is using superweapons and vengeance weapons as a basis to boost morale. This campaign has failed. The V-1s are not achieving desired results, and other wonder weapons planned were ridiculed by the POWs surveyed. All interrogators agreed the morale of German pilots is classified as good, even with their loss of air superiority. However, the morale of German Air Force ground personnel can be described as non-existent. A more comprehensive German Air Force morale survey was released 5 months later from this February 1945 Air Intelligence Weekly Summary. The survey is based on 246 German Air Force flight crews, which is the largest survey since 1940. Morale has not changed over this 5-month period. It remains high. The pilot's high morale is based on natural discipline, youth, love of flying, patriotism, and ignorance as to the true state of the war. They don't have many amusements, no time off, but live fairly well, actually better than any other segment of the population, don't experience the frontline battle hardships, and are not targeted as much by Allied bombing. Younger pilots still believe in a German victory. This belief is disconnected with reality, but they share a mystical belief in German invincibility. They feel there is no alternative except to continue to fight. Their fighting spirit is enhanced by ground battles on German soil and the strict unconditional surrender terms. A morale booster which has not been seen lately is German war hero worship. In its prime, Germany paraded its Air Force aces and U-boat captains as fine German examples to emulate. Hitler at an award ceremony with German aces and U-66 at its dock. By the end of 1944, most of Germany's aces were dead. The relationship between the flyers and officers is more strained. A new approach to increase motivation is through patriotism with the theme, life will not be worth living after the war. The more realistic feared scenario is the consequences of a war lost to Russia, with the slogan, victory or slavery in Siberia. This, given the atrocities that occurred during the Eastern Front ground campaign, all recognize there will likely be Russian payback. POWs show less resentment to the Allied bombing campaigns than expected. Delaying the inevitable end may lead to a small chance the Allies quarrel amongst themselves and/or German wonder weapons turn the tide, which either may lead to a victory. German aircrew morale appears not to be based on reason, but blind faith, loyalty, and patriotism. This morale can be broken if confronted and shown with the facts of the war situation. German propaganda is deeply ingrained and is working by maintaining their morale at a high state, which keeps them fighting on. German Air Force morale did not drop over the summer of 1944, or by the high pilot attrition levels experienced since, or by Allied land gains of Reich territory. This suggests the German Air Force will continue to fight as long as they have planes and fuel, their armies continue to battle, and they are ordered to fight. This table lists and ranks the attribute motivators of World War II German and U.S. pilots from a 1995 Air Force Institute of Technology document on World War II motivational factors in combat. The top motivational factors for German pilots are duty, honor, country, attitude towards the enemy, and ideology. For U.S. flyers, the primary motivation is overwhelmingly personal gratification. U.S. flyers scored 0 in categories of coercion, propaganda, national leaders, and ideology. If you found this German pilot motivation study review interesting and informative, please consider supporting the channel by liking, commenting, and/or subscribing to World War II U.S. Bombers.